Now, at the end of the day, though, this interview was probably not necessary to rehabilitate him into the hobby, and no one, I mean no one, was asking for it. It came completely out of the blue. Were there parts of it that I found interesting? Sure. Was it dangerous to throw this out there when there are so many new people in the hobby that don't know the history? Absolutely. If it served any good, it's only going to be because more responsible people came behind them and tidied things up. Because they basically left us with Probstein saying, well, if anyone's mad, they can be mad at me. They don't have to be mad at you. You being Mastro here. So since I have his permission, I am mad at Rick for doing this, and I'm going to take a few minutes to tell you why. I know that the pair joked about how people are, really tough behind the keyboard. That was part of their conversation too. I don't know if that includes microphones too. Maybe it does, but to be fair, they've both done their fair share of damage behind a keyboard as well. Okay, so let's even the playing field here. So why am I upset about all of this? A couple of things. Number one, we have one of the largest, if not the largest, consigner and seller on eBay inviting Mastro on and calling him a hobby legend. And it's not like Mastro asked for that title. No, once again, this was Probstein being careless. Mastro spent the better part of a decade willingly committing fraud. Now, I can accept the fact that everyone deserves a second chance, but they don't deserve to be heralded as a legend in the process. He defiled our hobby. We don't call Bernie Madoff a finance legend. Why should this case be any different? And quite frankly, I've seen the phrase hobby legend thrown around so much on social media lately that it's been stripped of all meaning, which is a real shame. While we don't have to have a definitive number of hobby legends, there are a lot of people out there that truly deserve the recognition. And at the same time, there are those who don't. Like auction house owners that shaved cards, an Instagram influencer that likely just started shaving their faces. Both of them not hobby legends. And number two, for whatever reason, Probstein seems interested in bringing his old friend back into the public eye. And even though Mastro went to the National, it doesn't seem like he's trying to have any sort of major public presence. It's not like he made a big announcement online or on social media saying, hey, come meet me, I'm going to be at the National. There were a lot of people there. I was there. I didn't see him. I certainly didn't know to look for him there either, though. So what was the need to bring him out into the open again? And without legitimate context, what purpose does that serve? And on top of that, Rick was pretty fixated on finding out, quote unquote, what do you want your role to be in the industry now? And it's funny to me that he kind of casually lumped the Wagner question in there at the same time. And Mastro explicitly said to him, I don't want any particular role in the hobby. I was encouraged by Mastro's directness, but I felt like Probstein's handling of the question itself was kind of careless. You see, earlier in the conversation, Probstein went on and on about the merits of the federal judicial system. Now, he omitted the fact that within that same system, Mastro and his lawyers promised to leave the industry if it could reduce his sentence. Let me say that again. They used his own commitment that he would not be involved in the industry again as leverage to try and shorten his prison sentence. So, what do you want your role in the industry to be is probably not an appropriate question. Why would you put your friend in a vulnerable spot like that? You know he can't have any formal business involvement. If anything, a good friend would help keep their friend accountable. Now, I'm going to close today by taking another quote from this conversation and applying the same logic here. When they were talking about Mastro's reputation, Rick said, I judge people based on my personal interactions with them. Now, I've heard a lot of bad things about Probstein and his business, but to be fair, I can only go off my personal interactions with him over the years. Like the time I was shillbid to the moon on a Reggie Miller patch that, a zero feedback bidder was bidding up and Rick did nothing about it. Or the time I bought an optic gold that had a huge thumbnail-sized dent in it, wasn't visible in the auction picture. I returned it, and he listed it again without citing the damage. right? So I have that experience too. Or the time a week or so ago that he shipped me a $40 card in just a penny sleeve and it showed up with a big scratch on it. Now, I don't think in any one of those instances that Probstein was aiming to harm me or upset me. He wouldn't know me from Adam. I'm a nobody. But at the very least, it shows that he can be very careless. There's a bit of a track record. So, I feel like this IG Live conversation was pretty much on brand for him. It was characterized by that same consistent level of carelessness. Now, I definitely don't think he meant to harm anyone, but it left other people to try and clean up the mess. And I hope I've done a sufficient job of doing that for you today.